Look, there are certain weeks that I enjoy making this series more than others, especially after losses. Obviously, I don't care to talk about it as much, but that comes with the territory. Look, somebody's got to make content when you lose because nobody else freaking will, or it's depressing otherwise. So, we got one life left at least. That's good.
Something now they gotta do with both on.
Let's dive into that Lion series, shall we? There was a theme throughout the first 4 drafts of this series, which was, hey, we're once again gonna pick for the early game. We know Lion's gonna pick late, they're gonna try and scale, and they're gonna go from there. And in game 1, turns out when you give us our Lee Sin, you don't get to do that. Because Lee Sin is very proactive early on, and especially in Jose Dioto's hands, who I would at this point make the argument genuinely is the best in the West at that particular champion. Yeah, we just didn't let him breathe. We didn't let him exist within this game, which made it very simple. And honestly, after game 1, I know there were a lot of people that thought, this is going to be a TL smash. Raz specifically swapped out his pick. But if there's one thing true Team Liquid fans have known is that we look good in game 1 a lot. And then it unravels from there, as was seen by the problems that existed in our drafts from games 2 to 4. And yes, I know we won game 4, but I just got to harp on this particular set of drafts. I will put them all on the screen somewhere. I don't know what way I'm going to cut this. We clearly are able to do enough early when the enemy team picks late game scaling comps that are like real late game, like to the point where they need 30 minutes at minimum to scale. I would say in game 4 that Smolder pick was very close to coming online, very close to getting us in trouble, but luckily it didn't. But game 3 was probably the most egregious draft out of them all, which I get the TF has been rising in priority in this region. But oh man, dude, where was our well, what were we expecting to do at this point? At all. What? Quid can't play TF like that. I mean, maybe he can in scrims, but it sure as hell ain't showing itself on stage. And we just got our ass beat, and like one of the fakest gold leads during that game from an individual that we've seen in a bit that just did not matter in any way, shape, or form. But I've criticized draft enough in that philosophy. I want to jump to game 5 in this series in particular, because this was probably the most normal looking draft that we got all week. Honestly, the most even looking draft that we have seen all split, where it is just a matter of, hey, you have 2 hyper carries on both sides. One of them's probably going to get fed and probably win the game. This game, understandably with a game 5, slowed down its pace pretty drastically, but Aphelios was ahead. And we have to look at that one particular moment that I'll play the clip right now, because, oh god.
Like I said, you've got 100% crit on Yon. The Aphelios absolutely shreds with damage, and he's got Crescendum. Inspired stepping up, though. They want to try to challenge for it, but Inspired's getting bursted very low. The Trundle's already almost dead, but Yon's fallen! That is absolutely huge! Inspired staying alive now as well as Morgan is into the back line. Inspired flashes over the wall, but he cannot find the kill. Hold to the Odo, getting that one!
This obviously wasn't like the only bad play that ended up costing us this entire thing. Like, there were moments prior to this where individuals were getting picked off, but like, Yon, you gotta flash there, man. You gotta flash. I get everybody was tunneling in on Inspired, but like, Bard just comes up and casually is able to stun us for free. For free? Really? The problem is I'm sitting here preaching, especially like during the first 4 games of this series, that Yon should be given more tools to carry, because he deserved them. I mean, the Lucian game, he's just absolutely chunking people in fights and like trying to skate and do damage, but it's just not enough. So you give him a champion like Aphelios in this game, it's like, okay, he should be set up to carry. He gets put in a position within the individual game itself to carry. And then at like the most crucial moment pulls the double lift and just does not flash when he needs to, and then dies because of it, and we end up losing the fight. The Baron play, like the Baron play after this one, the one that everybody's talking about, I'll play it again.
Lion, although TL look like they're just going to try to burn down this Baron as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Berserker and Saint are still on their way up here. Inspired is around the area. The Baron, though, locked up in the Tempered Fate. Inspired is stepping in. He's just going to smite it away. Lion critically find both the Soul and the Baron back to back, and now it's a seismic shove at a Quid. He dies to the Super Mega Death Rocket. Berserker is getting excited, and Yon is forced all the way back out of the fight. Now Morgan's under pressure, stunned to the wall yet again by another Cosmic Binding. It's a double kill of a Berserker, and he's excited again.
I don't understand the logic on this one, like, to me, we are at an even point in this game. Like, even though, yes, I believe we had lost Soul at this moment, we were still fine overall as a team. Aphelios was still scaled really hard. Yes, Jinx, if she gets picks, can absolutely reset, but like, our smite is in base. Their smite was on minions in mid-wave and able to rotate up and just take this for free. I don't know if it's because like Yon put his gun down and didn't realize how much the gun was going to chunk Baron for, so like it forced us into this situation, so there was no ability to pull off like we were hoping we were going to. I think that might have just been a mistake on his part that led to this moment, but like macro-wise, like what's going on here? We know all these players are skilled individually, but for whatever reason, there is just zero macro sense, which I get probably relied heavily on impact and APA in the prior iteration of this roster. But when you are putting the roster together in the offseason, and you look at this and say, there's no late game shot caller other than Core JJ, who notably has been having a bit of a downturn in terms of his ability to play call. I don't know. I was listening to a little bit of Mind the Gap, which just came out like 30 minutes prior to me leaving the office to come here. And Jat was notably mentioning about how Spawn is this decorated coach, which I'm not taking anything away from, and how like you can't overwrite history just because of a few bad results. But the thing I would say and counter that with the Knicks right now, sometimes a coaching philosophy does not mesh well with the players that you have. And you have to make the choice then whether it's the players or the coach that has to go. And in the Knicks case, they made the choice on the coach. Now we're in the NBA Finals, and clearly it worked out. I'm not saying that's the case here because I think you have genuinely some of the most talented people in this region. I just think it was bad roster construction to not have somebody that is macro orient or that just has a better sense of it, which I'm not sure if that's going to alleviate itself anytime soon, given that it's been an issue for 5 straight months now. Like this just feels like a problem that will be a part of our identity, which maybe we can learn, but I don't know, man. That plus Quid dropping his form at like the worst time. I mean, Quid hasn't had it this entire split, to be honest, but like it just feels like in moments where we need him to step up most, and he used to make these crazy plays, as Spooks noted in his interview, like the pressure is just higher. It seems to like limit him from what his potential always has been and what we saw on 100 Thieves. Maybe he's just the guy that does well on like those teams that are underdogs fighting up, but then on the big squad, on the big team in the moment right now, it is just a little bit more pressure. But I do think there wasn't a piece on this roster that helped alleviate that for him, which makes it tough. Morgan was kind of supposed to be that guy, but Morgan has not stepped up to that point yet. I know people will probably say, oh, you could go in on Morgan more. I feel like I've gone on Morgan a lot, and nothing changed from exactly what we saw. Like exactly what I predicted would happen kind of happened in the series, where like Dokla had his impacts. Morgan never really carried and was just like solid and on par with Dokla, which is not what you brought him in for. Otherwise you would have just picked Dokla. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, given that we've already lost 1 life. So let's go to Around the Org and do anything else but continue to talk about this. In case you were somehow living under a rock and haven't seen the last 2 videos that were posted on the Team Liquid YouTube channel, which have now amassed a combined total of over 200,000 views, which is crazy. Doublelift has now rejoined as well as a content creator, not a player, obviously, alongside Pobelter. That's shockingly good views for like such a basic title and thumbnail. Like genuine, like it's actually crazy in my mind. It shows how much pull these 2 individuals do have. And Doublelift noted that he is on a 2-year deal. Where did the money come to be able to bring in Doublelift and Pobelter? Because I promise you, there's no chance that they were cheap. That apparently comes from Alienware. That was part of the Alienware deal, I'd imagine, based on the timeline of 100 Thieves creators, from what I've gathered whenever I follow them. The timeline to sign people is like 4 to 5 months, or at least like hash out all the deal or iron out all the details and beyond. So this makes sense. And the big tag with Doublelift coming in is that this is going to be part of other events that he's going to be doing with the org, the first of which being his retirement home tournament. That will be happening after the split's done during the off season. It's a short 2-day event, which is great. It's in North American content. Awesome. But I do want to talk about what I think needs to happen with the 2 of these guys on the roster. I touched on a little bit last week, but especially with Doublelift here, there really needs to be a well thought out plan and how you're going to do content with these guys, because it cannot just be branding on their channels. It cannot just be what we have seen from content creator signings in North America over the last decade at this point. You need to follow the Optic model. And I already have a short on that. I don't want to double down, but the TLDR is basically your creators become the hub of your watch party for the LCS, which then feed into additional content that makes sure that we have at least 2 videos a week on our main channel. That is the minimum standard that I'm holding us to as an org when you have big name creators like this and the production studio and beyond. Like, there is zero excuse at all to not have 2 videos a week starting honestly this week. Like, it should start now. I'm not willing to give the excuse of waiting for the off season. This stuff needs to happen immediately, given that the signing probably, I mean, that video took what, probably a few weeks, and the paperwork and beyond. Like, everything should be in motion and should be happening now. And if the production time is that long that you can't make that happen, then that's a problem in and of itself. But one thing I do want to bring up is something that you're seeing a lot in Call of Duty right now across multiple different places that I would like to see us do as a byproduct of having these 2. These guys were part of Near Airport, which was a tier 2 team focused on like the streaming creator side that was a mirror to Los Ratones. What Call of Duty is doing really well is the major teams, they're not required to have teams in tier 2, and obviously they can't promote, so there's no value in those slots other than content, entertaining, and providing the gap that currently exists where tier 2 orgs don't really have the resources as much. They don't have the entertainer pool to be able to make these guys into brand names or at least raise awareness for them. I genuinely want to see Doublelift and Pobelter get a team in tier 2. Like, I know that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but salaries are already low for them. Clearly you're shelling out to bring in these guys. The content can be Doublelift and Pobelter running a tier 2 team on behalf of Team Liquid, and you have docu-series and more, and you could develop these players that then could maybe eventually filter into the main roster or filter to other teams in the league. Like, there is a golden content opportunity here to really utilize these creators, make educational content, make org side content, in addition to events that could also go on, and really build this thing up. Like, I know that people might think I'm crazy for this, but go look at what the Stallions are doing in Call of Duty, or Bush, which is like a Barstool's group. There's a lot of drama going on right now between Cloud9 and them at the moment, which you can go read up on. It's fantastic. But follow their lead. Get a tier 2 team and allow these 2 creators to run it, okay? And like, have the GMing entirely public. Like, let Pobelter and Doublelift make sure that they are like talking about the roster moves and the people they're bringing in, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Be overly transparent on this, and you'd be surprised how good of content that is. I'm telling you, that would work really, really well and bring bang for your buck and build a community and culture and feed into itself. It would be great. Oh, who's the pup barking? Aww. Anyways, congrats, Doublelift. Welcome back to the... Well, why am I saying welcome back? You were here before I was. I don't know what to say. Cool. Nice. As for our series this weekend, look, if we don't win this series anything other than 3-0, maybe 3-1, then... Oh, God, it's scary. Like, we are on 1 life left to get to MSI, to qualify for EWC, which I know TL's very big on as an organization. Like, so much hinges on us now making a wave through the rest of the playoffs. And this starts with, in my opinion, shutting down Contracts. That is the sole goal. That you know that he's going to whip out some counter picks if he can. That Contracts can absolutely carry a series, let alone a single game, as he showed in the qualification to this playoffs, against some of the best teams. And granted, it wasn't against the best team when he qualified, but I know he can do it against us as well, because I've seen Contracts do it many times in his career. So to me, the strategy to beating Shopify is making sure that you nullify him. Try to figure out what lane he's going to play through for a particular game to try and gank and get kills, and make sure you keep yourself safe. And then, or, I mean, if you want to take the fight and beat him, go ahead, but make sure you win it. But I just think there's only 2 factors that are going to lead Shopify to win this series. 1 is him, and 2 is B-Voy. B-Voy's kind of like the backup. Like, he naturally will get some leads in lanes, but I don't think he'll get that much against Yawn. Like, Yawn and Core JJ did look good despite the macro chuck a little bit later on. Like, Yawn looked fantastic in that series. I don't think B-Voy's going to get much on him. I mean, what can you say about Quid versus Zinni? Like, yes, even if Quid drops the ball and plays like he has been for the last few weeks, that's still better than Zinni. So, like, if anything changes there, like, we got some serious questions to ask. And then Fudge versus Morgan. I mean, Morgan's still better than Fudge. He just is. Like, you're naturally going to win lanes. You should naturally have push against Fudge. And, like, there's no lane where I'm looking at this series and saying that we should lose it in any meaningful way. It is just jungle. If Contracts finds a way to get a gank because somebody's out of position, it's not even on the laner. It's literally on Contracts. So just don't let him get fed and carry an entire game and an entire series. That's it. That's my way to beat him. Anyways, that's going to be it for this week's episode of The Harbor. Be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I feel like the view for this particular video was a little bit nicer than most. Came a little bit further out because this has a wind filter on it. And I got the audio quality fine last week that I felt good about filming it here. So hope you all enjoyed. Anyways, see you on Sunday for our matchup. I will be missing the first 2 games, but I'll be back for game 3 in time to watch that and then either freak out or just be relieved on stream with you all. So fun times ahead. Am I right? We're not nervous at all, are we? Yeah, smile through the pain, boys. Smile through the pain.